Hey guys, it's Nicky from Tier Zero Games, and today we're here with Ben with his Nekroz Dragma profile. Before we get into the video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, check out the Facebook check out the Twitter, and make sure you check out the website for all the cheapest cards in the game. Let's get into the profile.
Okay, so this is Nekroz Dragma. We're playing a more control style build. So turn one, the idea is you set up a unicorn with Valkyrus on field, and you'll have a Valkyrus and Trishula in hand in order to protect your unicorn. And you will also have normally 6 cards in hand, so you have, and with a punishment set, if you see a Jaguar engine. So you have plenty of advantage, and you have good interruptions, you have punishment plus unicorn, and whatever hand traps you draw. And you have loads of resources to Trishula and easily kill them next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going to the actual list, there's one Shrit because it's highly searchable. You can recycle it with Unicorn, discarding it. You only really need one. Then Brynak, because Brynak is reinforcement to the army for every Nekroz card. It's also really neat with you can summon it back or summon it out with Cycle or Kaleidoscope and Shuffle 2, which is really important with stuff like Dark Ruler. Then Clausulus searches anything, also searches any ritual spell, so it gives you all your options. Trishula, it's quite important just because it banishes 3 cards. It's also good targeting protection from Impan for Unicorn. And even if you discard it for your targeting protection, you can summon it back with Cycle or add it back with a Unicorn, because there's 3 now. Then 3 Unicorn, which is finally.
A walking skill drain, which is insane.
Yeah, and it's because we now have 3, being able to discard to add back the resources like your Trishula, if you discard it, is just amazing. Then 2 Valk. A lot of people have been playing 1 in these profiles, which I personally don't agree with, because turn 1, quite often you're summoning out your Valkyrus in order to tribute your Maximus or Ecclesia to get 2 free draw cards. So, and then you still want to be able to have, because you search so much, because you can resolve up to 3 Heralds and Ryanak and Shrift in 1 turn, you want to have the second to be able to just have in hand as a battle fader in order to further protect your Unicorn. Okay, then, especially with things like Ecclesia being turned off by Unicorn, Valkyrus is very safe in hand. Then 3 Ecclesia, obviously, searches Punishment, searches Maximus, which gets you a bunch of pluses. Then Fleur, it's an interrupt, stuff like Titanic Lad. Then Maximus triggers stuff like Herald or the Fossil Guy or App Cologne or Totally Awesome to add back Warset. It's great. Then obviously Disciples of Nadir, there's no explanation behind this. Triggers Herald, searches Engine, triggers more Heralds. Punishment. Punishment's actually, yeah. So punishment's more interrupt. We like interrupting people.
Like
Also,
having a unicorn and then the punishment is an insane. Just that itself is nearly an auto win against a lot of the meta decks right now.
yeah, if they're able to summon out, if they're able to go Sanguine into a Golden Lord and try and attack over, even if you've already used your Valkyrus, you still have punishments in the grind game to stop that synchro combat. Then, so for the ritual spells, if we move to this, we've got 2 Cycle, 3 Kaleidoscope, and 1 Mirror. So Mirror is at 1 because although it's really nice with something things like Trishula, it comes up the least, and you can just search it or add it back with Unicorn. Kaleidoscope for 3 because Kaleidoscope it gives you access to more of your engine while also having options like popping within Tiff. But being able to trigger Herald again is amazing, and Cycle is the best one in the grind game for recycling stuff, especially because we have Shrit, and Shrit is now so searchable. Then we can move on to that prep. I don't think this is any explanation. It's +1, adds pretty much anything in your deck with Ryanak. So Rota, yeah, adds Klaus or Shrit. And then we get onto the hand traps. Actually, I think it's worth noting before we move on, with the Nekroz lineup, it's rather minimal. It's aside from Valkyrus, because we don't play something like Gungnir or Decisive Armor, because they don't do that much, and they can be bricks quite a lot of the time. So just having like the good ones that are always live is great. Anyway, onto the hand traps. So 2 Ash, because it's the worst of the hand trap lineup. Because Gamma, for example, is much more impactful. Because Gamma is also able to protect your preparation right. It's able to protect your Nadir and cards like that. You also play Lambda, and then Imperm, it's just a good hand trap.
Alright, so now to the extra deck.
Yeah. So 1 App Clone. This is for your sided. This is for the sided aerial. So this means that Nadir, Maximus, and Punishment all become DD Crow for 3 because you can send App Clone, search aerial inside, then discard, then send aerial from hand with App Clone, and it will trigger the effect of banish 3 cards. So it's really good at shutting down Eldritch resources, getting rid of block dragons, and that kind of thing.
Okay, it's really good for decks. A lot of decks in the meta currently as well.
Yeah, it's really good. Even against like rogue stuff, hitting 3, but like banishing 3 cards is just really impactful, especially with like all the graveyard resources we have right now. So then 2 assists, 2 because you also do send it with Kaleidoscope to get pops to get rid of problem cards. Then 1 Fossil, 1 Skull Knight. He's like the replacement for the old. Well, so for Kaleidoscope, we used to play a 6 Synchro to send with Brainiac. It's the same thing. It just you use Kaleidoscope, send this, summon Brainiac, but this also allows you to get it pops. You can actually graveyard to pop a card, so it's also good. And summoning Brainiac is more important now because of things like Dark Ruler and just removing extra monsters. Titanic Lad for the grind game. You could argue play 2, but you don't really send 8s for Kaleidoscope, and you can always just recycle it with your Omega engrave. Triple Herald, because you can easily go through 3 in a turn. This card is just so much advantage for the stack, because you can go Nadir, send it, then Kaleidoscope, send it, then Maximus, send it, and just go +3 for fun.
Seems insane.
Yeah, it's amazing. Then Omega, because you send it to recycle resources, so you can put back your Titanic Cloud. It also puts back your opponent's Eldritch traps, or puts back their Titanic Cloud so they can't trigger in end phase. Quasar, because you want a 12 to summon stuff that's like Trishula plus Forceless or Valkyrie plus Unicorn.
And quick note about Omega as well. Obviously, if you resolve Gamma, if a Asher prep or do anything to where you have no monster on board and you can Gamma them, you just get a free negate one in the hand and loop 1 card out of their hands for free.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Then Dweller, because it's a good generic rank 4, and it's really good against stuff like Eldritch, like pure Eldritch, where your Unicorn doesn't do much against them. Being able to make Herald is really valuable.
Yeah.
Especially if you've already drawn something like your Punishment, and you don't need to use the Ecclesia's effect, like that. Then Emerald, because you do go through 3 Heralds sometimes, and making it is just really good for the grind game and recycling resources, especially your Heralds and your Dogmatika engine. Totally awesome. Adds any water from Grave from the Dragma engine as unicorns and stuff. Then Boral Sword, because it just helps with getting game damage. You don't have any issues with removal stuff because you have Brainiac, you have Klaus, you have big monsters, you have Punishment, you have Trish. Like, you don't have any issues with removal, so it's just helping get damage in niche situations. And then Lambda, which is a good support for your Gamma and your Driver.
Okay, to the side deck, obviously there's few niche cards like you can play Aerial, but obviously this depends on what meta you're trying to face and what local tournament, etc.
Yeah, right now I think Aerial, like in most situations, is really good.
So if you don't expect a Aerial, so if you don't want the Aerial, what would you replace it? Would you add the 3rd Ogre into side deck, or what would you replace it in the next deck?
I would add in the 3rd Ghost Ogre, but personally I think that, especially because no one expects it, it's really valuable right now. Also, very few people expect it.
So
it's really valuable.
What would be your 15th extra deck card if you want to have Apocalone?
Ghost Ogre.
Extra deck.
Oh, extra deck card. Sorry. I'd probably end up playing a utility card such as Nightmare Phoenix.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so
Because
two-side deck then.
there is a lack of backer removal in the extra deck. Although you do have an assist and that kind of thing, because having something that's very accessible is always nice.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
it's also for grind game, because normally you lock out your extra deck anyway by Dragma. So side deck got 2 Ghost Over. It's nice for the new Monfield spell. It's good against fiber combos. It's just a good, well-rounded card, especially even against rogue stuff. Aerial, because it's TD Crow for 3 is broken, especially if you trigger your net off punishment. Cold Cyclone is a good generic card. It's good going first or second. Yeah, that's all there is to say about it, really. Dark Ruler, you can Trish them. If you Dark Rule them, you can Trish them. You can Bryonax shuffle back 2 of the extra deck monsters, and you can set up your Unicorn, which is a pseudo skill drain, as well as Think Punishment. It's really good. And then Lightning Storm for just your back row stuff, and Lotus is in like an extra precaution going first because Dark Ruler is a threat. In general, the deck is just as a whole, the deck is it's not one of these combo builds where you play like 0-0-3. It's more of a control-ish kind of build, but you still end on so much advantage and protection that you can just like outright kill them next turn because you have all the advantage you need.
So this will be good against a lot of the meta, so you could consider playing these in competitive tournaments, etc. Any last words, Ben?
I was just going to say, in terms of like the meta stuff, a lot of the meta like Adamantia and Infinite like just auto lose to your Unicorn.
Yeah.
And especially even against things like Eldritch, you still have Trishula, which gets rid of their resources, and you have like your Aerial to get rid of all of their floating traps. So its matchups in general aren't that bad. It's got plenty of room for hand traps and versatility.
Agreed. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. The download link for the deck will be in the description, so make sure to check it out.